Good morning, everybody. And I know it may not be what you think is morning time where you are, but it's morning time, so just get over it. We're going to welcome our guest today, Odia Shembo. Now, she is the CEO of a company called OKS Markets. It's a boutique style marketing firm that currently offers high signature courses to corporate organic growth. Now, she's been an executive of the Credit Karma, LendingTree, and other household brands. But I think as we go throughout the day, we're going to find out her specialty is organic growth. So we'll get into that. And I want to welcome you very much for taking the time to hang out with us today. I think I told you in our pre-talk that this is going to be more for me than I think for the audience because we're just now really starting to push this organic growth, saying, why pay any more money? But before we really get into that, I want to ask you this first question. And that simply is, when people go to your LinkedIn page or they go find information about you, they're reading and getting some good information, but what is not there that you think they should know about? What is not there that you think they should know about you? It could be personal, it could be business, but what is it that you think they don't know that they should get?
Would say maybe it's not there in my LinkedIn profile, but that I am African and I'm originally from Congo, DRC. So that is not there that I would love for everyone to know.
I think that's good to know. Actually, I'll just drop. No, I can't one up you, but my assistant, she's actually originally from Zimbabwe, so she,
What?
so she's proud of
Yeah.
that, and I'm proud of her for being proud about that. I'm originally from the greatest city in the world, and I still live there, so that's all it needs to be said. The greatest city in the world. What city are you in right now?
I am in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay, Charlotte, North Carolina. We'll be there shortly on a one-day speak, but that'll be
Yes.
fine.
Yes.
And I'm in Denver, Colorado. For those of you who might not really connect, that's the greatest city in the world. If you ever get out
I
here, I
was
say,
gonna
"Oh, Charlotte is beautiful, though. Charlotte is absolutely
Yes,
beautiful, especially this. Well, I don't
Charlotte
know.
is so
Oh, sorry, I lost you. I cut you off. Charlotte is so.
Charlotte is absolutely so beautiful. I've never been to Colorado though. I would love to go. I would love to go.
If you're not a cold weather person, this is not the time to go. But if you like skiing and snow and just that environment, it's the time to go. I think your kids will love it. Just because I watched
Yeah.
my grandson yesterday, just couldn't help but to get in the snow. Just had to get in the snow. Cleaned off the sidewalks, there wouldn't be any problem, but no, he had to go get in the snow and play. And then we ended up having a snowball fight, which he won. But anyway, enough of that, about that. Tell me, when you talk about this organic growth and you talk about these different things, why is creating an online presence important anyway? Online presence, online content. Why is that so important?
I- Creating online presence is critically important because when you study where our consumer behaviors are going and where things are changing, you will realize that if you do not show up in search, you are slowly dying. And that's what made me jump out of my corporate seat was because I was realizing a trend at Credit Karma at LendingTree. What they primarily are known for is market lead generation. So we study the market at large. We study what the masses are doing. And then we try to create a personalized experience for each consumer. So when you have all of that data and you sit with it, you understand that the small businesses that couldn't afford to hire a person like me 200 100 $200,000, you are slowly going to become extinct. And that was the scariest part of working for corporate, that I immediately knew that hardworking people like my mom, who's owned a business for 20 years, who has come here as an immigrant to scaling her business to over $1 million in profit, that the harder that she worked, because she didn't know how to use the technology, the more money that she would be giving away to the middleman. That's a part of the reason why creating an online engagement or having an online audience is so important, is because the data is screaming that if small businesses, if personal brands, if people that want to engage in business online don't come online in a strategic way, it's either you're adapting or you're dying. And for the most part, for most businesses, what I see is the dying part, unfortunately.
Is that because people are getting into it too late or or afraid of it? I'll tell you the truth. I didn't like it. I don't like the idea of producing material every day, although we've found some
Absolutely.
shortcuts, and that's called hiring somebody else to help you do it. But yeah.
Absolutely. It's really because, like you said, there is friction there, especially with generation, even myself. I'm a millennial. It's hard to put yourself out there consistently and create consistent content. But one of the things that I found that was most frustrating is because most people don't really understand how search engines work. They don't
Mm,
understand how it works. And they so that means that they can't show up strategically on online. And so when you mix not understanding how search engines work and then having to create content for a search engine and for people, that just breeds a whole bunch of frustration. So people are just like,
it
you know
does.
what? Let's just nix it. I'm just going to hire someone. And 9 times out of 10, the person that you're hiring really doesn't have a strict strategy just yet. And so that's what I found to be the most frustrating thing. Even at when I was talking to senior level executives at Credit Karma, LendingTree, Guaranteed Rate, 9 times out of 10, a lot of the times that I would spend with executives would just be educating them on how a search engine works and how the business should be adapting to it. It's critical. The number one thing is just strategy. You have to have a strategy. You have to have someone to be able to walk you through. If you try to piecemeal it, there's just too many moving parts. There's too many moving parts.
There is too many moving parts, and this, like I said when we talked and started the show, this will be coaching for me more than anybody else, I think, in the audience, because I'm confused about the strategy. One place they talk about you should be 7 to 10 pieces of content every single day, including shorts. And other places say once a week is good enough. So I hear once a week for LinkedIn, or 7 to 10 times for LinkedIn or YouTube, or no, I don't know. So I'm not asking you to give me a strategy because you don't quite know what we're doing, but how do you plan that type of strategy? That's what I'd like to know. How do you plan that type of strategy? Just number of times you should be on, like guessing.
Absolutely. That's a really great question. And like you said, a lot of
Go ahead. I know it's cutting in and out, but uh-oh. This is all edited materials, ladies and gentlemen. You won't get to see this part. She can't hear me right now, and I can't hear her. Oh, you know why I can't hear her? There we go. Okay, now should be able to hear you. Okay, do you have me? No? Okay, this will all get edited out. Your microphone went muted for a minute. It should be. I can hear you clicking around. Okay, I don't know why can you hear me? No? Okay. Hold on a
Okay,
second.
perfect. I was wondering because on my end your screen is black, but
Okay, because yours
can you
froze.
hear me
Then
now?
yes, I hear you. Can you hear me? Okay. I don't know what's going on here. Let's see. I
I
can't hear
can
you right
hear you
now.
now and I can see you.
Okay. So then let me just check. Internet connection's good. Okay, you still have me, right?
Okay.
Okay. All right, so let's just, I don't know if you can pick up with the question. Now you're frozen.
I do. I can hear you.
Okay, you got frozen there for a second again. All right, so the question really is, and I'll shortcut it this time a little bit. Do you have the strategy, planning the strategy? I hear sometimes only once a week. Sometimes I hear you need to post 7 days a week. It's different between LinkedIn and YouTube and Instagram. I hear that TikTok is considered a security risk. And so if you have government clients, you shouldn't use. I'm not asking you for a plan because you don't know my company, but what is the best way, now that hopefully you still hear me, what's the best way to plan that?
Yes.
Go. You freeze and you can't hear me.
Yeah. So one of the things that I always preach on is you can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you. So go ahead and give me the strategy for planning a game plan.
Okay. So one of yes. So one of the things that I always preach on is you want to start with your website first. The
Mm,
reason why you want to start with your website and really focus on mastering one one search. Can you hear me? I
yes.
don't know if this is coming in and out.
Yeah, it is coming in and out, but we'll be okay. We'll edit all this
Okay.
out,
So
which
you
is
want to start with your website first. Okay. So the reason why you want to start with your website first is because Google has about in January of 2022, Google did about 89 billion searches online. That is compared to every other platform. That is the largest platform where you to test and to validate what you are saying to your market.
so that I was reading about that. You're frozen, but if we have to edit, we have to edit. But I was reading about that 89 billion searches. That's a lot of searches, and then I'm not
So
sure how
if
they
you
get there.
start with LinkedIn, which has a cut, because according to the CEO, the data is housed here in Virginia,
Okay.
but the data is housed here in Virginia, but there is still ties to China. So you want to be careful there because TikTok is, from what I'm understanding, is on the basis of either being banned or severely limited. So it's not a mature enough platform to have to focus your strategy on. Google is mature enough and has the right tools, the data analytics tools, which by the way are free. So that's the caveat right there. It's free to analyze the data. And the reason why people will say, oh, go to LinkedIn, go to this, go to that strategy is because they've mastered one and they've primarily mastered their content. So you see people like entrepreneurs, small business owners trying to master a platform, but what they really need to do is master their content. And Google allows you to master your content and then distribute it to other platforms. And it's the largest data house that has the capabilities to do. So that's why I always start with like crawl before you walk. And that's why I always recommend Google first, either a Google or a Google product like YouTube, which is owned by Google.
Okay.
So
And that makes a lot of sense when you said, because start with the Google or start with your website. And that's difficult. And I would think that'd be part of the strategy is to say, okay, here's a website. Do we need to focus on SEO or do we need to focus on content?
you can focus on both.
Both. Okay.
Both
You make it-
SEO and content, they go hands in hand. If SEO cannot survive, thrive without organic content. And a really good SEO will be able to teach you how to create content, how to create that amazing outline that consistently keeps that lead generation flow. That's why they will pay a lot of SEOs are very comfortable in terms of lifestyle right now because one company will take them and what they have in their minds, they can create a content program that is phenomenal. So you really want to
Mm.
focus on organic content because what organic allows you to do is it allows you to test and validate in the most inexpensive way. And that's
Okay.
what
Okay.
companies will pay me 200,000 whatever because I can hire a writer but you can't really hire an SEO that knows the knowledge and knows how to make it work really well. That's not found everywhere. And so what
Okay.
I would say is if you focus on creating amazing content with having the your expertise, like for you, Glenn, it's leadership and all of that. You have amazing content online. You have amazing podcasts, by the way. I've listened to a couple of them. Your
Oh, thank you.
podcast can actually live as an actual article. And there's so many tools that will allow you to shortcut the transcription method to have that living as an actual blog. So now each blog turns into a lead generation form for you. And that's how you start building your tribe is by really understanding what's working, what's not working, and doing that with data allows you to get speed to market. And that's what allows you to really grow.
And that's been a challenge, I think, for me and a lot of other entrepreneurs. So, like I said, I was serious when I said you're going to be coaching me, but I have some people who are dropping in, and I see that they're now who have some questions. And one of the biggest questions is search engines. Google, if you look around in the hype right now, is Google's under attack. Google may not be there in 10, 15 years. I don't think that's true because I think Google's going to be able to make the adjustments if they need to make adjustments. But
Absolutely love this.
what has switched in search engines? What's things have changed? I think you mentioned that.
Absolutely. So I'm sure your clients have heard, your customers and everyone dropping in, they've heard about what happened in November of 2022. It's called a tool called ChatGPT. It's artificial intelligence, and it has absolutely changed the landscape of the way that the early adapters are starting to do business. Let me just give you
Yes.
some backgrounds on what
Okay.
ChatGPT is. ChatGPT is a computer processing language. Okay. So it attempts to gather information and make a search engine, quote unquote, because it doesn't use data from a search engine. Okay. It uses other libraries, it has its data resources, but it hasn't paired with data from a search engine just yet. But what it does is it takes text and it spits it out to us in a conversational format. Okay.
Mm,
Now you can't do that with search, right? You still have to text, you still have to use a picture component to search. You can't
right.
do that just yet. It's not conversational yet. The reason why people are so concerned or saying that Google won't exist anymore is because they really don't understand that they're two fundamentally different things. ChatGPT is a methodology of communication between a processing language, like artificial intelligence, and a human. Search engines, what makes search engines powerful is not the fact that it doesn't have artificial intelligence. What makes it powerful is its data. So right
Right, right.
now, yeah, so right now, when people say Google is going to go, Google is dead or things like that, what they don't really understand is that Google's business model is completely different than ChatGPT's. Now, if they combine, which they will, ChatGPT is actually in conversation with Bing, which is another search engine that
For
people probably
Microsoft,
don't.
yeah.
Yeah, they're with Microsoft right now. They are in conversations of merging together. Now that will take Microsoft, that will make Microsoft very powerful. But Google, what makes Google powerful is not the fact that it's a search engine. What makes it powerful is the access to data that it
Yeah,
has.
yeah. Because I was reading where they were saying that this Chat GPT or whatever it is, even though they're planning on the fourth iteration of it in March, April, sometime in there, it still doesn't get information after
Correct.
2021.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's the specialty of a search engine. It's more real time now than a chat GPT, but chat GPT will ultimately become real time. And this is why I say, this is why I started my business. This is what jumped me out of corporate is I saw the speed at which businessmen at the very top are trying to push this AI because it automates a lot of what we do. I'm currently reading a book and I have it. It's called COVID-19: The Great Reset by Carl Schwab. And he talks about it. He started the economic forum and so he has a lot of data in his brain essentially. So what we are entering into and what businessmen are understanding is that businessmen are trying to push the narrative of data adaptation, okay, technology adaptation, and COVID-19 sped that up. But right now, as they try to piece together the pieces between how AI will work with a search engine, there is some gray area for a couple of people that didn't really get the COVID-19 content splurge to come in and to take advantage of how of AI and the search engine to build their communities. And so this is the reason why I am urgently hoping that business people like you that run a small business that are dependent on the online community to build their program but that aren't there quite yet, this is the perfect time because we will never have a moment like this in history. Okay, never have it. We will never
yeah,
have this dust settling moment for content creators like you, like everyone else, to build a community because right now there's a lot of loose ends. And when there's
right.
loose ends, you can come in and take your pick.
Wrong. So COVID-19 reset, is that the, I just typed it in real fast, probably got it wrong, but is that it?
Yes,
COVID-19, that
it's I have
reset?
it here.
Oh, the Great Reset. Okay. Okay.
COVID,
I want to make sure
yes,
we cover that. So,
COVID-19, the Great Reset by
okay.
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
That's phenomenal gems in here. Will
Mm-hmm.
give you the data behind what I'm saying. And he also quotes the Google CEO that basically stated that COVID-19 basically accelerated the digital transformation in a way that will last for generations to come. And that
Oh, yeah.
really second that as a marketer. And as a human, you're probably aware of it too.
I have become aware of it for a couple reasons. We were talking, class I was doing, we were talking about the difference between millennials and my generation and how my generation likes to tell people, hey, especially to the millennials, no, you can't say anything till you've been here for 6 years or 6 months or something like that. And I said, that's really a dumb way to approach it because, and this was before this chat GPT thing came out, and I think I will have to really adjust it. Back when I was in college in this past century, when I was there, we were, I don't know why I just enjoy saying in the past century when I was in college in the last century, but we were gaining knowledge. The human knowledge was growing, would double every 25 years. Then it went to every 13 years. They say currently, and this was before the AI started taking effect, it's every 13 months. The human knowledge level grows, it doubles. If that's true, then that's why GPT chat, and all these other things are going to grow along with it. The question is, though, who's going to get behind it, like you said? And I think that's why Google will never go away, because they got the money to get behind it themselves. They'll find some. I didn't know that Microsoft invested $1 billion into the program. I do know it's costly. Right now, it's not a charge to it, but it's costly. And when we start talking about the costs, that's where we get out of this organic marketing thing. So to drive it back around to this organic marketing, first thing we want to do is create great content for our website and for our and get great SEO. Challenge: if you are doing what you love, it's difficult to get not good content, but popular content, trending content. So as I do what I love and I talk about what I love, I look at some of the other channels, some of these big dogs, and say, we're not getting a whole lot either. Now, they're not getting the 13,000 views on YouTube and stuff either. I'm not getting it, and they're not getting it. How do you adjust my mindset? So coach me on to understand, do what you love, or should I be looking for more trending keywords and things like that?
First, your question is like, I'm going to answer it in parts, but the first
Yeah,
thing
because many.
the first thing is, please don't always go for virality. Speaking from millennial generation looking upwards, you're marketing downwards, right? You're marketing to millennials and below. But millennials are looking to the older generation, right? The generation that's above millennials for your expertise. So you don't need to be trendy. We're not expecting you to be trendy, right? And if you are trying to be trendy, you first have to have a solidified message. And your message needs to be tested. This is why I always speak to Google, because Google allows you to see the data analytics. It allows you to see what's working. And when you understand what's working, then you can go to another platform and then look for ways to connect to virality. So I'll give you an example. If I'm talking about organic marketing and I understand that what TikTok prioritizes is I call it edutainment. It's education mixed with entertainment. If my
Okay.
content is not educational in nature, meaning it gets them a result, because that's what millennials, Gen Z looks like. They're looking for value. If it's not value driven and then has a piece of entertainment, it flops. So the recipe is education and entertainment. But if you don't have a really succinct message that works and that you've tested and tried, through I would say the Google funnel first, like your website, because it's most cost efficient to do it that way, then you don't even know how to play in those other fields. So what these other content creators have done is they've either spent an exorbitant amount of time on TikTok and they've mastered that one platform. If you scroll back, there's very few people that will come on a search algorithm or a social media algorithm and explode. They've tested it, they've tested their messages, and they've explored and they've gotten their core, and then they've expanded from there. So that's why I don't focus on the shiny object. I focus on the core messaging first and then help entrepreneurs like yourself. I help them develop the messaging, understand the data behind what's working, what's not. And then once you have that solidified, everything else is golden for you. Everything else is just a matter of tweaking. A lot of what I see, the number one mistake that I see that people make online, especially that are trying to build their online community, especially of the age range of millennial and above, what you're trying to do is you're trying to tip and trick your way to success. And we all know that is going to be very difficult, if not near impossible to do. You have to have a content strategy. You have to have a strategy. You need to either pay in time or you pay in finances to understand how this online world works. Because once you do it once, if you do it with the right person, it will accelerate your business times 10. But a lot of people they go for the shiny object, right? They're following the marketing person that says, I can get you 1,000 leads today. It doesn't work like that if you don't have your content structure. It doesn't work.
Okay, and that brings a question to my mind about the content structure. When we were using TikTok, I did one silly video and I put it on TikTok and on YouTube, and they got over 1,400 views. We've had nothing really. Some things is now starting to approach 100 views that are the educational purposes. And so if I'm reading you right, and here you get to coach me again, continue to build education with a little bit of entertainment in it.
Absolutely. Build education and build entertainment. But once again, focus on your website. There will be thousands of apps that pop up. Maybe not ones that have shined like TikTok, but there will be plenty of ads to come in and to take market space in. But if you have your core messaging down and you understand how it resonates, you understand what result it gives your audience and your consumers, then you can play with it on any platform. You can take it to TikTok, you can take it to YouTube Shorts, you can take it to Instagram, you can take it to any other platform, because
Okay.
you have to
Okay.
see from the lenses of Google or from the lenses of every other platform, right?
Okay.
Every other
All right.
platform is trying to mimic Google as much as they possibly can, because Google is Mount Everest. So every other
Okay.
platform
Good way
is
to think
trying
about it.
to become, yes, every other platform. So now TikTok is good, but now YouTube Shorts is great, right? So we have Spotify, right? That's a really great podcast place. But now we also have a YouTube podcast. That's also a new development for YouTube. So, and YouTube is owned by Google. That's why I say YouTube
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
Google
Yeah.
platform.
Yes.
Google
Yeah.
is the Mount Everest, and every other platform is doing its best to mimic Google. And if you can master Google, even at a slight percent, you have the chances of exploding.
Hmm.
People go
Okay.
from A to Z. What you need to do is figure out Google, even in a small capacity, test and learn. And then you go to LinkedIn, and then you go to the other things, because those algorithms, those search engines aren't as developed as Google. They would like to be, they're not.
But they're not there yet. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
why I always say Google first, but they're not there yet. Google first, test and learn, find what really works there, and then your social media. Because if you do it that
Okay.
way, if you do it the other way, you'll waste a lot of time.
So now David is asking a good question, because he says he built his Google presence on simply selling himself as a speaker, coach, trainer. So that's all his homepage is. He has funnels and stuff where he sells the books, things like that. But so great organic content means he needs to start telling stories there. That's my definition of it. And
Absolutely. You need to figure out what you solve for your consumer. What does leadership do for your, I'm using you as as an example, Glenn. What do you solve for your community? And then
okay.
whenever you figure out whatever you solve, right? If I'm searching on Google, if I go to Google and I say, hey, I am trying to lead a new team. I'm very new to management. I have no idea how to lead a team of 10 people. I don't have as much as experience as my
Yeah.
colleagues. How can Glenn and his expertise take me from inexperienced to having the comfortability to speak to an audience that's well out of my age range and manage them? What leadership principles can
Yeah.
Glenn alone solve for me? And then what you do is you hone in on that message. So that's what you would do. But then on the back end, what Google is doing is you have an article and one person finds value in it. A couple of people find more value in it. A couple more people find more value in it. Now you can see, okay, this blog really worked because I gave my consumer a point A, how to get from point A to point Z. So to piggyback to the question that was asked, it's not that what you haven't done, or the gentleman, I forget his
David.
name.
Yeah, David. Yeah.
David. It's not
Yeah.
that David hasn't done a great job with what he has. Absolutely. You can do a phenomenal job without Google. But what you're missing is the core, right? Because you can do a great job on LinkedIn, but you can fail on TikTok. The reality of it is, if you do a really good job on Google, you will have your core message to make it easier to go into other platforms and succeed. I want to know something, Glenn. Have you ever
Yeah.
heard of an app called Canva?
Yeah. 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 Actually, we use that.
Absolutely. Do you know how they got their start? How did they reach their community? If I'm
No, I
just
don't know
asking you,
that. No, I don't know that at all.
they built it through organic marketing. They built thousands of pages answering their customers' questions with a way to solve their problem. And now their valuation, they're a unicorn. They're $1 billion company in a few short years. This is the power that organic marketing paired with SEO can do for your business. Okay, very
Mm.
simple product. It solves a very simple solution. It makes photoshopping easy, right? And they've answered a lot of different questions on the web. They continue to attract the right people, and now they have a user base that's large, and then they've deplatformed. They've taken it off of Google because you can access them through it. And that is how you use Google effectively. You're trying to attract the right people into your atmosphere. Okay. And that's what you're
Okay.
trying to
Okay.
do.
You had me thinking now because oddly enough, at the end of this month, I'm going to travel and teach a class for 2 days on how to be that new supervisor, new manager. But I don't have any materials up. I don't have any podcast up. Don't have any written materials on that. Although I've been teaching that for several years. I love the class because it's always
Mhm.
cool to see people's eyes light up. Oh yeah, that's how I get across to this guy who's twice my age. So
Yeah.
it's cool to see that. But then I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe I have it because we're doing a magazine. Okay, we're
Mhm.
putting together a magazine. We're not. I feel like people like we'll have a 5 second splash at the end of this show saying, "Hey, if you're looking for a keynote speaker, go here and set up a quick meeting." And that's the only call to action we have as far as that goes. But what I think happens if people start to see that you're valuable and worthwhile and you're teaching things and you're helping people, then they start coming to you. You sound like you just back that up. I need to teach people things and give them solutions, make it fun for them, and then back it up.
That's it. That's it. That's all you are doing. You are bringing your unique expertise to the marketplace and then drawing in your people. You're just teaching them. That's it. And that's why I always say, oh my goodness, there is phenomenal opportunity for the generation that's above millennials because you guys actually have the expertise. You've been around the block. You understand the inner workings of how things work. So, what we can do in 13 months, it doesn't really compute to what you've understood. You've seen the landscape change, and that's what we need. But you also need a way to reach us. And because we are on search, you have to reach us where we are.
Right.
That's the importance of reaching your consumer where they are and
Okay.
understanding that. And that's why I
This
preach.
is important.
Yes, that's why I preach organic marketing. And there's so many tools that make it the easiest that it will ever be today. There's so
Oh yeah.
many tools.
Yeah.
There's so many tools to do that. So yeah, you guys are in phenomenal position. Like Glenn, there's so many posts in your or so many of your podcasts that can be turned into blog posts. And you can see that
Yeah.
benefit in a month, 2 months. You can really understand, okay, this is what's resonating, this is what's not resonating. And then you can tweak it and then you can start attracting leads to your website.
Well, Shabu, that's why you're here. That's the coaching that we look for, the solutions we look for. Because when you said that earlier, it dawned on me, gosh, I've been paying for Otter.ai and it can transcribe all those. All I have to do is transcribe them. And if my assistant doesn't have time, which I don't want her to have time, I'd rather for her to do other things. But I
Yeah.
can sit down on an airplane and format them because I'm not going to change them
Yep.
because it's a conversation. So, yeah, we may say 10 times, but so what? It's a conversation. That's how the conversation goes. And I can just
Absolutely.
that's one piece of content. If I did that for as long as I've been doing this now, I could have one piece of content until next year, Monday
You
through
see,
Friday, until next year. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. That is exactly what the big companies do. They saturate with education because whenever someone solves a
Mm,
problem for you, you remember them. So it's okay. If I'm seeing Credit Karma every single where that I go for financial products, I know Credit Karma's quote unquote, their brand is screaming trustworthy to me. So now I trust you. So now when I want to put in my information, I go online and I put my information in. Credit Karma doesn't actually provide you a product.
they do the research. Yeah.
Yeah, they get the attention, build the trust, and then they put you to a person that's their partner, and they
Okay.
get a piece of the pie. So it's like very, when you think about it, it's like, okay, I can do that too. Provide
Hmm.
a solution, many different formats for my customers, and then bring them in and then teach them my way of doing things and then get them the end result. So that's the
Okay.
power behind it.
Okay. And here's the question for you, a different question for you along the same lines, because content is education. Uh, I forget what you call it, but it's education and entertainment at the same time. What you call it?
Education,
No. Uh,
education,
Okay.
education, entertainment, education.
Uh, Agitation. Okay, so you gotta love that because that says something. But what about call to actions? Coach me on that. I mean, do I need to be making? Because we're thinking about just doing a bunch of just 1 minute. If you think about the Nike commercials, you don't
Yeah.
even know Nike did it to the very end when their swoosh comes up. but it's all about
Absolutely.
making you feel good. Is that content? Is that ads? Is that something you would suggest you add on, or should we just, because that would go on Google, of course, but I don't know. Coach me.
Yeah, so when it comes to CTA, you want to provide your customers, you want to provide them with the best experience. Google just did an update and it's to their core environment and what they've prioritized for this year. They did an update on December 31st, I believe, of 2022. And it's called experience. So they are now prioritizing experience, meaning Glenn, whenever you have a blog post, you want to give your customer the best experience. You don't want to give them a fragmented solution, right? You can only do so much with the blog post. When you
Right.
think about it, what is the next best step for the customer to take to fulfill the rest of that solution? It's, of course, signing up to be in your whatever, your broadcast, on your email list, on your newsletter. You want them to sign up because you want to give them the best experience so they can keep coming back to your website because they're like, he's just giving me all the value. He's in my email box, giving me so much value. He's in my on the search giving me value. Then now you can start parlaying into YouTube because Google is owned by YouTube, and the search equity that you build in Google actually parlays into YouTube because
Yeah.
Google is moving into a multi-modular experience, meaning
Yeah.
they're going to have different kinds of experiences on their website: text, video, picture, etc. So
Chats, all that.
all
Yeah.
that equity that you have from your website actually starts into YouTube. And that's how you build that symbiotic relationship between your
Oh, okay.
website, between your YouTube, and then you start.
Okay.
Yes, you
Yeah.
want to provide a CTA.
I want to
Yeah,
provide a CTA on the YouTube, but also I'm not on, well, both of them actually. But I'm starting to realize that if I have something built on
both.
YouTube, it's on my website because Google, like you said, owns
Absolutely.
YouTube. So why not just also post it on the website or at least the link to it?
Absolutely. Your name, your brand gets equity. Every time you feed into your brand online,
That's what
it builds
okay.
like equity. There's a thing called digital real estate. It's a very I there's where you buy, let me just clear the thought first. You buy a .com and you sell it. I follow a guy, he's one of my colleagues. I don't really know him, but he's in my sphere, the organic sphere, and he's really good at what he does. We're in the same circle. And he saved up 40,000 pounds because he's in the UK. 40,000 pounds. He said he was going to buy his first home, but he chose to buy a website first.
Oh,
Instead. It's digital
wouldn't
real estate.
yeah. Yeah, it is real estate, yeah.
He can flip that website because he has that information on how to do it. He can flip a website and sell it and make 500,000 by the end of a year in 2 years. There's very little property that you can
Brilliant.
make that much money. Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is the kind of power that you have with a .com. Once you know how to build that equity into your website, then you can go in and your name in the Google database, every time someone mentions Glenn David's,
Daniels,
Glenn
yeah.
Daniels, excuse me,
No problem.
Glenn Daniels, essential leadership skills, every time that is correlated together, Google is giving you equity. They're giving you that credibility. And so now
Yeah.
when you go to another platform, you already have equity. So that's the power of Google.
It's
This is
funny.
why
I
it's
was
awesome.
listening to that just the other day where they're saying this experience Google's after now. Google, because somebody was don't use any of these AI things when you're doing something for Google because they ding you for it. And the other person said, no, look at the terms of the algorithm, the terms. Said as long as you're giving value and they're getting something from it, they don't ding you for it. But if you're just putting stuff out there, but they all
Absolutely.
what you just said makes a lot of sense. It rings true to me now because what you're saying, this is the power of coaching. I know this, but you're coaching me to remember this. If I put 30 articles out there, which was my intent starting just a week ago on emotional intelligence, who's going to be the experience? Who's going to be the expert in emotional intelligence? Okay, so between articles and videos, and since they're all part of the same family, who's going to become who's going to become the person that they serve up first? Okay,
Exactly.
okay. So now I want to be respectful of your time. So I'm going to ask you up front right now, can we get you back again? Because I think something that came up to me that I noticed that the CEO of Microsoft said, and it was talking about KPIs, key performance indicators, and those things are found in Google Analytics.
Yep.
So I'd like to schedule some time in the future where you can coach us all on how to create KPIs on our Google Analytics. Say this is what we should be looking for. It's not necessarily for me. It's not necessarily going to be subscribers.
Absolutely.
I'm beginning to think it's more how much view time are we getting in, not subscribers. Okay, could be subscribers though, but that's a different thing. So I want to talk to you about that in the future, but I also want to ask you a question because to be respectful of everybody's time and your time, especially. What major points have we missed that if we had you come back for, you would give?
I would give what we've missed is really, like you said, diving into how to move the needle. We know the warning signs behind why a presence matters.
Yes.
Now it's how do we move the needle? What do we focus on? What tools? Because tools shortcut time. Make you more efficient and they make you more profitable. What tools that you need to use? Like you said, what metrics are most important? Right? I'm an
Mm-hmm.
anti-fluff marketer. That's the only way that I've been able to be successful is by really focusing on the things that move the needle, the KPIs that move the needle.
Okay.
So that's most important. Google Analytics has changed its interface, so it's not going to look the same as in June, I believe, of this year.
Yeah,
So
it sure is
what
confusing. Yeah.
yeah. So what do you need to pay attention to? And it's not a lot. There's a lot of things that you can do for very few KPIs, the KPIs that really move the needle for you, and then the
Okay.
tools. So that's really what we're missing from today is the tools. And what one other thing is the
Mm.
mindset shift that you need to adapt in order to succeed. And that's what we're missing.
Yeah, because we did really just basically cover why we should be doing this. So let me drill just a bit deeper. What questions should I have asked you about why we should be doing this that I didn't ask you?
What's making, I would say, your generation unsuccessful online? That would be the question. Because that's one thing that I didn't get to address today is what's making you guys unsuccessful
Okay.
online? Because you
I want
have
the
all, yeah, you
I
have
like
all.
go ahead, give me the answer. I have
So
all my stuff online. Okay.
the answer is you guys are piecemealing. Whenever you guys take a strategy, follow one person, follow two people, three at max, but don't piecemeal. Focus on your base of content. Structure your content really well. Your website is your first lead generation magnet. If you do that well, then you can do everything else well. Don't piecemeal. Don't focus on tips and tricks first. Focus on a tried and true strategy first, and then use the tips and tricks to accelerate. Don't focus on a social media, don't focus on any of that first. Focus on your core content strategy first because that is the base of everything. That is the foundation of your home. Is your content and your strategy for how your content delivers value.
Boy, you got me really thinking about this now. I missed that boat, haven't I? Just think about all the content and things I have up now, everything we're putting together on YouTube, these podcasts. I
Yep,
mean, your podcast alone could be broken up into 2 or 3 different blogs. Okay.
absolutely.
Then if I get lucky enough to get you back again, how many more blogs can we get from that? I'm talking about not just blogs or just filling up space, but blogs that are giving information. I mean, that's okay. You got me really thinking about how do we make this work for every leader out there, everybody who wants to get out there. Even these super large companies are having a hard time figuring out how do we do this. I don't want to talk about myself. I don't want to talk about you either. I want to know. So
Yeah,
yeah,
what can you help me with? You're an encyclopedia. Just think of yourself that way and allow everyone to touch base with how you solve a problem. Every time you touch base with them, it should be how you solve a problem.
okay. And then one more coaching question for me that I'll let you have the last word and run. But what for Google and the nature, because I wasn't aware that you had done a little bit of research. So you know the nature of what we're trying to do.
Yes.
But how many blog posts should I be posting once a week? I know it should be consistent, I believe. But
Can I just ask you a reverse question before I ask you?
sure,
We're going
yeah.
to use it as a live coaching moment. What are your goals? What do you want to what is the number one thing that you want to do?
I want to make sure that my company is a legacy. I want to make sure that after I'm gone, we're still continuing down the road. Okay, we're still growing. We're still putting people to work. I want the content to be a legacy. So people say, okay, yeah, you know what? He taught me this 30 years ago. He wrote the book 30 years ago. He did that 30, 40, 50 years ago, but it still applies. So great examples of Think and Grow Rich. Book was
Mhm.
written in 1930, and
Yep.
it's still been recommended by the top business people in the world, and I still recommend it.
Yes.
That's the legacy I want to build.
How fast do you want to do it?
You know what? As long as I know it, I don't. You know what?
How
Tomorrow.
fast? Tomorrow.
No,
Tomorrow.
truthfully, I wanted to get it done fast because I think just my own personal belief is that leaders are what's going to get this world into better shape. If we get better leaders, the better shape we're going to be in. Even if you're just leading a team at fast food restaurant,
Yep.
if you're a good leader, maybe that person walks out with more confidence at the end of the shift, feeling better at the end of the shift, goes home and treats his family and children better at the end of the shift because it didn't feel picked up.
I
Or
love that mission personally. I've left companies where if my leader wasn't really invested in me, I left it and they still wanted me back, and I'm like, I'm not coming back
until
for
you get that handled, yeah. But that's what, so speed of action, and I'm very careful. So those who have read a couple of my books, they know when it comes to goal setting, I don't
Mhm.
really believe in this ideal of set it for 6 months, 7 months, 9 months, 5 years, because you don't know what you're capable of. So how can I put a
Absolutely.
timeline on something I don't know what I'm capable of?
That's
So
good.
when you
I
ask
really
me how fast, I think that we should be generating leads, inbound leads, by March. Okay. I think that we should have many articles and transcripts and things that I think we should have just way more than what's predicted for this type of company. I think we should be able to outpace some of the top people out there right now. But
so I would
go ahead.
sorry. Go ahead. No, I
No,
don't want to
no,
interrupt.
yeah, you're good. I was gonna say, so go. What can you do with that? So go. So,
I would say 7 good pieces of content per month. And I
okay.
would say deep, not wide. If you have an
Mm.
expertise, like your core umbrella expertise is in leadership, you pick a subtopic and you answer that question really deeply. You go more deeper than anyone else in the marketplace. You answer, you obviously you're going to match what's out there in the I always use the top 3 results. I always use the word count and then I see how deep they've gotten and I try not to go maybe 200 words above because I want to still align with the experience that other high performers are giving them. I'm going to answer their questions as deeply as possible. And you like you said Glenn, you gave me a unique perspective to think about my goal setting. So I would provide that in every single article. I would go very deep and answer their question in a way that's unique to you. And then I would do 7 of those very deep articles, those pillar articles. And if you want, you can build sub articles for each 7 of those articles. So I would say 7 articles per month now until March and focus on those being your pillar topics. Make them very deep, comprehensive, and then add in to that with other blog posts. So if a person wants to click on more to learn more about a
Ah,
specific topic, you go to the next
okay.
topic. I'm giving you guys some really good strategies here. I
Oh,
hope you guys
you really are. You really are. So with that said, what are you doing right now? You helped me, but what are you doing right now? If someone wanted to get a hold of you and say, okay, I need your help. Are you doing any coaching, any speaking? What are you doing right now? How do we get a hold of you for your help?
absolutely. So right now you can go to profitablewithsearch.teachable.com or you can go to my LinkedIn, Odia Shembo. There will be a link there for you.
Yep.
But Profitable with Search, I teach a course called, like I said, Profitable with Search, where I'm teaching you the core strategy of how to maximize Google. We are focusing only on Google products for right now because that's the biggest need right now is to maximize on Google. We will also be teaching you how to use ChatGPT and other AI tools to speed up your go to market. So, meaning we're teaching you a little bit we're giving you the speed component to it. We're matching you with the AI tools as well. So, it's very comprehensive and it's going to get you. We have a traffic back guarantee right now. You're not going to find that anywhere else because
No.
my experience, I'm able to service you that guarantee because I know what I'm doing in this field. So, we have that traffic back guarantee, 25%. We guarantee a 25% increase in traffic in the next 4 to 6 months of the right traffic for you, or you don't pay at all. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm not working on a one on one basis because I just feel like there's just so more of my passion is working. It is getting people off of the ground, and one on one at this current time just is really heavy
It
for
doesn't
my
work.
plate. So,
It doesn't work that
yeah.
way. Yeah. Yeah, I don't do
Yeah.
one-on-ones ever. And tried it for a while, but I don't do them. Okay, so now, ladies and gentlemen, of course, in the note and in the blog, we're going to transcribe hers as soon as it's ready. So it should be ready in a couple of hours. We're going to transcribe it and look for that to be on our blog. You know where we are, but you're also going to have information for Miss Shembo, okay, so that you can go ahead and contact her. I think you guys, if you're like me, you're going to contact her. And you notice I didn't ask her for the price. I have in other folks. I don't care. I don't care. We're going to work something out together, and because we need the content help.
Yes,
Last
yes. And
words. Before you give your last words, let me just say thank you very much for the time. And I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
thank you so much, Glenn. I really appreciate you. And I'm so glad that you have this podcast. I believe that it's going to help so many people. So I'm grateful and I honor your time as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.